side. 11.
Chapter 2.
उसमें रिबन लगा है.
This much. Srimad Bhagavatam 11th Canto, Chapter 2, Text 32.
We should believe
कहाँ से ज्वाइन की? इधर से.
Shri Narad Vaj. Sorry, Mother. I'm from Raipur.
चल.
Raipur. Yes, ma'am. Shri Narad Vacha Evam Te Nivina.
don't need this.
खाली अनुवाद.
Translation. Shri Narad said, O Vasudev, when Maharaj Nini had thus inquired from the 9 Yogendras about devotional service to the Lord, those best of saintly persons sincerely thanked the king for his questions and spoke to him with affection in the presence of the members of the sacrificial assembly and the Brahmana priests. Purport. According to Sridhar Swami, not only the king.
एक पैराग्राफ थॉट पढ़ना है.
According to Sridhar Swami, not only the king, but also the members of the assembly and the priests conducting the sacrifice were all devoted to hearing and chanting the glories of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The sages, beginning with Kavi, will not each speak in turn, answering the questions of the king. Text 33. Shri Kavi said, I consider that one whose intelligence is constantly disturbed by his falsely identifying himself with the temporary material world can achieve real freedom from fear only by worshipping the lotus feet of the infallible Supreme Lord. In such devotional service, all fear ceases entirely. Purport. In the opinion of Srila Sridhar Swami, the word Asad Atma Bhavat in this verse indicates that the living entity is constantly disturbed by fear because he identifies his eternal self with the temporary material body and its paraphernalia. Similarly, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has stated Bhakti Pratikula Deha Gehadisva Asaktim. Because of one's attachment to one's temporary body and so-called home, family, friends and so on, one's intelligence is always disturbed by fear and one is unable to appreciate or practice pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. So-called religious activities executed in the bodily conception of life are always accompanied by fear and anxiety about the ultimate result. But pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead frees one from fear and anxiety because it is executed on the platform of Vaikuntha. or spiritual plane where there is no fear or anxiety. According to Srila Goswami, the process of Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that even in the stage of sadhana bhakti, in which one is practicing devotional service through rules and regulation, the neophyte can have a direct experience of fearlessness by the mercy of the Lord. As one's devotional service becomes mature, the Lord reveals himself to the devotee and all fear is totally vanquished forever. Text 34, translation. Even ignorant living entities can very easily come to know the Supreme Lord if they adopt those means prescribed by the Supreme Lord Himself. The process recommended by the Lord is to be known as Bhagavad Dharma or devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. There are many Vedic scriptures such as Manu Samhita that presents a standard injunction for the peaceful management of human society. Such Vedic knowledge is based on the Varnashram system, which scientifically divides human society into 4 occupational divisions as well as 4 spiritual divisions. According to Sridhar Swami, however, knowledge that can bring one directly in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead is called Ati Rahasyam or the most confidential knowledge. Text 35. Translation. O King, one who accepts this process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead will never blunder on his path in this world. Even while running with eyes closed, he will never trip or fall. Purport. According to Sri Sridhar Swami, the word Agya easily, which is used in the previous verse, is explained in this verse. He states Agya Padinoktam Sukartavam Vibranoti. By the word Agya, the ease of performing Bhakti Yoga is established. And this will be elaborated in the present verse. In Bhagavad Gita 9.2, the Lord Himself states, Pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. The process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternal and it is very joyfully and naturally performed. Srila Prabhupada comments, the process of devotional service is a very happy one. Why? Devotional service consists of Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. So one can simply hear the chanting of the glories of the Lord or can attend philosophical lectures on transcendental knowledge given by authorized acharyas. Simply by sitting, one can learn. Then one can eat the remnants of the food offered to God, nice palatable dishes. In every state, devotional service is joyful. One can execute devotional service even in the most poverty-stricken condition. The Lord says, Patram Pushpam Phalam. He is ready to accept from the devotee any kind of offering, never mind what, even a leaf, a flower, a bit of fruit, or a little water, which are all available in every part of the world, can be offered by any person regardless of social position and will be accepted if offered with love. There are many instances of this in history. Simply by tasting the tulasi leaves offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, great sages like Sanat Kumar became great devotees. Therefore, the devotional process is very nice and it can be executed in a happy mood. God accepts only the love with which things are offered to Him. Text 36, translation. In accordance with the particular nature one has acquired, in conditioned life. Whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Supreme Thinking. This is for the pleasure of Lord Narayan. Purport. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented in this regard that a person who engages all the sensory activities of his body, mind, words, intelligence, ego, and consciousness in the service of the Supreme Lord cannot be considered to be on the same level as a karmi working for his personal sense gratification. Although apparently still a conditioned soul, one who offers the fruits of all his activities to the Lord can no longer be touched by the countless miseries that arise from the reaction to materialistic activities. Text 37. Translation. Fear arises when a living entity misidentifies himself as the material body because of absorption in the external illusory energy of the Lord. When the living entity thus turns away from the Supreme Lord, he also forgets his own constitutional position as a servant of the Lord. Thus, this bewildering, fearful condition is affected by the potency for illusion, called Maya. Therefore, an intelligent person should engage unflinchingly in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, whom he should accept as his worshipable deity and his very life and soul. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the objection may be raised that since fear is caused by ignorance, it can be dispelled by knowledge and there is no need to worship the Supreme Lord. Thus, the living entity falsely identifies with his material body, family, society, and so on, and he simply has to give up his false identification. Then, what will Maya be able to do? In reply to this argument, Sri Sridhar Swami has quoted the following verse from Bhagavad Gita: Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durattaya Mameva Ye Prapadyanti Mayam Etam Taranti Te. The divine energy of mind, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. The living entity called Jiva Tattva is one of the potencies of Supreme Lord, but the constitutional position of the living entity is Tatastha or marginal. Being minute, every living entity is eternally dependent upon the Supreme Living Entity Krishna. This is confirmed in the Vedic scripture as follows: Nityo Nityanam Kirtanas Kirtananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. Among all the eternally conscious beings, there is one supreme eternal living being who is supplying the needs of all the innumerable others. Krishnadas Kaviraj has stated, Akile Ishwaru Krishna Arshabdristo. Krishna is the only independent controller. All other living entities depend upon him. Just as the finger is part and parcel of the body and therefore must always be engaged in bodily service, we as parts and parcel of Krishna have the eternal duty of engaging in the unalloyed service to the Lord. Text 38. Translation. Although the duality of the material world does not ultimately exist, the conditioned soul experiences it as real under the influence of his own conditioned intelligence. This imaginary experience of a world separate from Krishna can be compared to the acts of dreaming and desiring. When the conditioned soul dreams at night of something desirable or horrible, or when He daydreams of what he would like to have or avoid. He creates a reality that has no existence beyond his own imagination. The tendency of the mind is to accept and reject various activities based on sense gratification. Therefore, an intelligent person should control the mind, restricting it from the illusion of seeing things separate from Krishna. And when the mind is thus controlled, he will experience actual fearlessness. Purport. Although the conditioned mind is bewildered by the objects of sense gratification offered by Maya, illusion, if one takes to the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord, such materialistic sense gratification gradually dissipates, for it is merely a mental concoction of the conditioned soul. Srila Sridhar Swami has emphasized by the words Avyabhicharini Bhakti that one cannot dissipate the illusion of the material sense gratification unless one takes to the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. As Srila Rupa Goswami has stated, Anyabhilashita Shunyam Gyan Karmadhyanavratam Anukulyena Krishnanushīlanam Bhaktiruttama. Unalloyed devotional service cannot be mixed with material sense gratification or mental speculation. The servant must act only for the satisfaction of the master. Similarly, Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Mamikam Sharanam Braja. One must see only Krishna everywhere and must act exclusively for the satisfaction of the Lord Krishna, the eternal master of every living entity. Text 39. Translation. An intelligent person who has controlled his mind and conquered fear should give up all attachment to material objects such as wife, family, and nation, and should wander freely without embarrassment, hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord, the bearer of the chariot wheel. The holy names of Krishna are all auspicious because they describe his transcendental birth and activities which he performs within this world for the salvation of the conditioned souls. Thus, the holy name of the Lord are sung throughout the world. Purport. Since the holy names, forms, and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unlimited, no one can hear or chant about all of them. Therefore, the word loke indicates that one should chant the holy name of the Lord that are well known on this particular planet. Within this world, Lord Ram and Lord Krishna are very famous. Their books Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita are studied and relished all over the world. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is gradually becoming famous all over the world as he himself predicted. পৃথিবীতে আছে যত নগরাদি গ্রাম সর্বত্র প্রচার হইবে মোর নাম. In every town and village on this earth, the glories of my name will be chanted. Therefore, in conformity with the authorized statement of this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Krishna consciousness movement emphasizes the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, along with the Panch Tattva Mahamantra, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Text 40. Translation. By chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly or cries or shouts something. He sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. Purport. In this verse, pure love of Godhead is being described. Srila Sridhar Swami has described this spiritual situation as samprapta prema lakshana bhakti yogasya samsara dharmatitam gatim, or the perfectional stage of life in which one's devotional service to the Supreme Lord is enriched by ecstatic love. At that time, one's spiritual duties are entirely beyond the scope of worldly affairs. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is the following statement by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. धैर्य धरिते नारी होइला मुन्मत्त हासी गंधी नाची गाई जैसे मादमत्त. By chanting the holy name of the Lord in pure ecstasy, I lose myself, and thus I laugh, cry, dance and sing just like a madman. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately approached his spiritual master to ask why he had apparently become mad by chanting the holy name of Krishna. His guru replied, Krishna naam mahamantra ei tu shabha, jai jape tar Krishna upajay bhav. It is the nature of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra that anyone who chants it immediately develops his loving ecstasy for Krishna. In this connection, Srila Prabhupada has commented, these symptoms are very prominently manifest in the body of the pure devotee. Sometimes when our students of Krishna consciousness movement chant and dance, even in India, people are astonished to see how these foreigners have learned to chant and dance in the ecstatic fashion, as explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. However, actually this is not due to practice, for without extra endeavor, these symptoms became manifest in anyone who sincerely chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Text 41. Translation. A devotee should not see anything as being separate from Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Ether, fire, air, water, earth and the sun and other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees and other planets, the rivers and oceans, whatever a devotee experiences, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within creation as the body of Supreme Lord Hari, the devotee should offer his sincere respect to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. Purport. Sri Jiva Goswami has given this example from the Puranas. Yat pashyasi tattva anugrahat dasena jagat dhanamayam labdva kamuka kamini mayam iti vat hare shariram. Because of a greedy person's obsession with money, wherever he goes, he sees an opportunity for acquiring wealth. Similarly, a very lusty man notices women everywhere. In the same way, a pure devotee should see the transcendental form of the Lord within everything, since everything is an expansion of the Lord. It is our practical experience that a greedy man will see money everywhere. If he goes to the forest, he will immediately consider whether it would be profitable to purchase the forest and sell the trees to the paper mill. Similarly, if a lusty man goes to the same forest, he will look everywhere for beautiful women, tourists who might happen to be there. And if a devotee goes to the same forest, he will see Krishna there, knowing correctly that the entire forest as well as the sky canopy above is the inferior energy of the Lord. Krishna is supreme sacred, being the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and since everything that exists expands directly or indirectly from the body of the Lord, everything is sacred when seen through the eyes of self-realized person. Therefore, as stated in this verse, Pramamit, one should offer one's sincere respects to everyone. Srila Jiva Goswami has mentioned that we should see the personal form of Krishna everywhere. Text 42. Translation. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. Purport. Srila Jeev Goswami has explained this analogy as follows. Bhakti or devotion may be compared to tushti, satisfaction, because they both take the form of pleasure. Parishanubhava, experience of Supreme Lord, and pushti, nourishment, are analogous because both sustain one's life. Finally, virakti, detachment, and shuddhapaya, cessation of hunger, may be compared because both free one from further hankering so that one may experience shanti or peace. A person who is eating not only becomes uninterested in other activities but increasingly becomes uninterested in the food itself, according to his satisfaction. On the other hand, according to Srila Jeev Goswami, although one who is experiencing the blissful personality of Godhead Krishna becomes uninterested in anything other than Krishna, his attachment to Krishna increases at every moment. Therefore, it is to be understood that the transcendental beauty and qualities of the Supreme Lord are not material, since one never becomes satiated by relishing the bliss of the Supreme Lord. Text 43. Translation. My dear King, the devotee who worships the lotus feet of the infallible personality of Godhead with constant endeavor thus achieves unflinching devotion, detachment, and experience knowledge of the personality of Godhead. In this way, the successful devotee of the Lord achieves supreme spiritual peace. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 2.71, Vihaya Kaman Yah Sarvan Pumsam Charati Nispriyah Nirmamo Nirahankarah Sashantim Adhigachati. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship, and who is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. Srila Prabhupada comments, to become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna consciousness is actually desirelessness. Text 44. Translation. Maharaj Nimi said, now please tell me in greater detail about the devotees of the Supreme Lord. What are the natural symptoms by which I can distinguish between the most advanced devotees, those on the middle level, and those are neophytes? What are the typical religious activities of a Vaishnava and how does he speak? Specifically, please describe those symptoms and characteristics by which Vaishnavas becomes dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The great sage Kavi has informed King Nimi about the general external symptoms of the devotee of the Lord, namely his appearance, personal qualities, and activities. But now King Nimi asked how to make further distinction among the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so that the first class, second class, and lower class Vaishnavas can be clearly identified. Text 45. Translation. Sri Habir said, the most advanced devotees sees within everything the souls of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relationship to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 6.30, the Lord says, Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mam pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Srila Prabhupada comments, a person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere and he sees everything in Krishna. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that Krishna is the manifestation, knowing that everything is the manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Text 46. Translation. An intermediate or second class devotee called Madhyam Adhikari offers his love to Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people and are innocent people who are innocent and disregards those who are envious of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. According to Bhagavad Gita, every living entity within the material world is eternally a minute fragmental portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mamai Vangsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. But because of the influence of Maya, the puffed up conditioned souls becomes inimical to the service of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. Choose leaders among the materialistic sense gratifiers and thus engage busily in a useless society of the cheaters and the cheated, a society of the blind leading the blind into a ditch. Although the community of Vaishnavas is sincerely eager to serve the conditioned souls by bringing them back to their constitutional position, by Maya's influence, the materialistic living entities becomes hard-hearted and rejects the mercy of Lord's devotees. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, although a second-class devotee is eager to preach to the innocent conditioned souls, he should avoid the atheistic class of man so that he will not become disturbed or polluted by their association. Text 47. Translation. A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly towards other devotees or people in general is called a Prakrit Bhakt, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Purport. Srila Madhavacharya comments that one in the lowest stage of devotional service faithfully worships the deity in the temple but is not aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually all-pervading. The same mentality can be seen in the Western countries, where people commit all types of sinful activities in their homes and in the street, but then piously go to church and pray to God for mercy. Actually, God is in our home, God is in the street, God is in our office, God is in the forest, God is everywhere, and therefore God should be worshipped everywhere by the process of devotional service at His lotus feet. Text 48. Translation. Even while engaging his senses in contact with their objects, one who sees this whole world as the energy of Lord Vishnu is neither repelled nor elated. He is indeed the greatest among devotees. Purport. According to Sri Sridhar Swami, the position of the Uttam Adhikari or first class devotee of the Lord is so worshipable that additional symptoms are now given in 8 verses. It should be understood that unless one comes in contact with the lotus feet of a pure devotee of the Lord, the path of freedom from material illusion is very difficult to understand. In the 5th verse of Sri Upadeshamrit, Srila Rupa Goswami has said, Shushrushaya bhajana vigyam ananyam anya nindadi shunyam hridayam ipsita sangalabdya. One should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of propensity to criticize others. Srila Prabhupada comments, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari and Uttam Adhikari. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediated platform can also accept disciples. But such disciples must be on the same platform. And it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttam Adhikari as a spiritual master. Therefore, additional symptoms will now be given so that the conditioned soul who desires to go back to Godhead can properly identify the bona fide spiritual master. Text 49. Translation. Within the material world, one's material body is always subjected to birth and decay. Similarly, the life-air pran is harassed by hunger and thirst. The mind is always anxious and intelligence hankers for that which cannot be obtained. And all of the senses are ultimately exhausted by constant struggle in the material nature. A person who is not bewildered by the inevitable miseries of material existence and who remains aloof from them simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered Bhagavat Pradhan, the foremost devotee of the Lord. Purport. According to Srila Madhavacharya, there are 3 classes of intelligent living beings within this world, namely the demigods, ordinary human beings, and demons. A living being endowed with all auspicious qualities, in other words, a highly advanced devotee of the Lord, either on the earth or in the higher planetary system, is called a deva or demigod. Ordinary human beings generally have good and bad qualities, and according to this mixture they enjoy and suffer on the earth. But those who are distinguished by their absence of good qualities and who are always inimical to pious life and the devotional service of the Lord are called Asuras or demons. Of these 3 classes, the ordinary human beings and demons are terribly afflicted by birth, death, hunger, whereas the godly persons, the demigods, are aloof from such bodily distress. The demigods remain aloof from such distress because they are enjoying the results of their pious activities by the laws of karma. They are unaware of gross suffering of the material world. Those who study the Vedas and drink the sown juice seeking the heavenly planets worship me indirectly. They take birth on the planet of Indra, where they enjoy godly delights. But the next verse of Bhagavad Gita says that when one uses up the results of this pious activities, one has to forfeit his status as a demigod, all along with the pleasure of heavenly kingdom, and return to earth as a nara or ordinary human being. Shine punya matta lokam vishanti. In fact, the laws of nature are so subtle that one may not even return to earth as a human being, but may take birth as an insect or tree, depending upon the particular configuration of his karma. Text 50. Translation. One who has taken exclusive shelter of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva becomes free from fruitive activities which are based on material lust. In fact, one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is freed from even the desire to enjoy material self-gratification. Plans for enjoying sex life, social prestige, and money cannot develop within his mind. Thus, he is considered Bhagavatottam, a pure devotee of the Lord on the highest platform. Purport. According to Sri Sridhar Swami, this verse describes the behavior of a devotee of the Lord. The activities of a pure devotee are devoid of material envy, false illusion, delusion, and lust. According to Vaishnava commentators, the word Bijanam in the verse refers to Vasana or deeply rooted desires, which gradually fructify in the form of activities, for which the living entity becomes subject to reactions. Thus, the compound word Kam Karma Bijam indicates the deep-rooted desire to lord to lord it over the material world through the enjoyment of sexual pleasure and the expansion of sexual pleasure mentioned in the Bhagavatam as Grihakshetra Sutapta Vittaiha. That is a beautiful residential building and ample land for producing food to fill the belly, as well as children, friends, social contact, and a large bank balance. All of these material items are essential for completely forgetting that one is an eternal servant of Supreme Lord. Therefore, as stated in Bhagavatam, Janasya Moho Ayam Mameti. Intoxicated by these objects of material illusion, the conditioned soul becomes madly convinced that he is the center of the universe and that everything in existence has been created only for his personal sense gratification. Whoever obstructs such illusory enjoyment becomes immediately his enemy and subject to be killed. Text 51. Translation. Birth in an aristocratic family and the execution of austere and pious activities certainly cause one to take pride in himself. Similarly, if one enjoys a prestigious position within society because his parents are highly respected members of the Varnashram social system, one becomes even more infatuated with himself. But if despite this excellent material qualification, one does not feel even a tinge of pride within himself, he is to be considered the dearmost servitor of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. According to Sri Sridhar Swami, the word Janma, good birth, refers to such classes as the children of Brahmana fathers and Kshatriya mothers, and children of Brahmana fathers and Vaishya mothers, both of which are considered anulom since the father comes from a higher caste. Marriage in which the mother comes from higher class than the father are called pratilom. In any case, one who becomes proud of his so-called prestigious birth is certainly in the bodily concept of life. Birth in any material body is a serious problem, which one should solve by surrendering to Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can thereby release himself from the golden shackles of a so-called aristocratic material body. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Kanishta Adhikari thinks that Karma Mishra Bhakti or devotional service mixed with material endeavor is the ultimate in spiritual life. Text 52. Translation. When a devotee gives up the selfish conception by which one thinks this is my property and that is his, and when he is no longer concerned with the pleasures of his own material body or indifferent to the discomforts of others, he becomes fully peaceful and satisfied. He considers himself simply one among all the living beings who are equally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a satisfied Vaishnava is considered to be at highest standard of devotional service. Purport. The vision described by the phrase Sarva Bhuta Samaha, seeing all living entities equally, does not include one's vision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this connection, Srila Madhavacharya has quoted from Harivamsh as follows: Na kvapi jivam vishnutve smaratsau moksha evacha. Under no circumstance should one consider the living entity equal to Lord Vishnu, either in conditioned life or in liberation. The impersonal speculative philosophers are fond of imagining that although in our present illusion we appear to be individual entities, at liberation we shall all merge into God and be God. Such wishful thinkers cannot reasonably explain how the omnipotent God could arrive at the embracing position of having to enter a yoga studio, pay weekly fees, press his nose and chant mantras to regain his divinity. As stated in Vedas, Nityo Nityanam Chetanash Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadhati Kaman. The individuality or plurality of living entities is not a product of material existence. The word Nityanam, denoting the plurality of eternal entities, clearly indicates that the living entities are eternally individual parts and parcels of the Lord, who is in the singular unique entity described here as Eka. In Bhagavad Gita 1.21, Arjun said to Krishna, Pratham sthapya me achyuta. My dear Achyut, please place my chariot between the armies. This body is also Rath, vehicle, and therefore the best policy is to request the infallible Lord to take charge of our own conditioned body and guide us on the path back to the kingdom of God. The word Achyut, the infallible or one who never falls, learned or sane human beings will not entertain the silly notion that the omnipotent, omniscient God has slipped and fallen because of Maya. No amount of wishful thinking can erase our eternal servitorship at the lotus feet of the Lord. Text 53. Translation. The lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are sought even by the greatest of demigods, such as Brahma and Shiva, who have all accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their life and soul. A pure devotee of the Lord can never forget those lotus feet in any circumstance. He will not give up his shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord for a single moment, not for a half moment, even in exchange for the benediction of ruling and enjoying the opulence of entire universe. Such a devotee of the Lord is to be considered the best of the Vaishnavas. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, one may ask, if one were able to gain the opulence of the entire universe in exchange for leaving the Lord's lotus feet for just half a moment, what would be the harm in leaving the Lord's lotus feet for such an insignificant amount of time? The answer is given by the word Akuntha Smriti. It is simply impossible for a pure devotee to forget the Lord's lotus feet, since everything that exists is in fact an expansion of Supreme Lord. Since nothing is separate from the Supreme Lord, a pure devotee of the Lord cannot think of anything but the Lord. Nor can a pure devotee contemplate ruling or enjoying universal opulence. Even if given all the opulence of the universe, he would immediately offer it at the lotus feet of the Lord and return to his position of a humble servant of the Lord. Text 54. Translation. How can the fire of material suffering continue to burn the hearts of those who worship the Supreme Lord? The Lord's feet have performed innumerable heroic deeds, and the beautiful nails on his toes resemble valuable jewels. The effulgence emanating from those nails resembles cooling moonshine, for it instantly relieves the suffering within the heart of the pure devotee. Just as the appearance of the moon's cooling light relieves the burning heat of the sun. Purport. When the moon rises, the expansion of its rays drives away the distress of the sun's fierce heat. Similarly, the cooling rays emanating from the lotus nail of the personality of Godhead's lotus feet vanquish all distress of the Lord's pure devotee. According to Vaishnava commentators, it is to be understood from this verse that material lust, exemplified by uncontrolled sexual desire, is exactly like a blazing fire. The flames of this fire burn to ashes the peace and happiness of the conditioned soul, who perpetually wanders in 8,400,000 species of life, vainly struggling to extinguish this intolerable fire. The pure devotees of the Lord place the Lord's cooling jewel-like lotus feet within their hearts, and thus all the pain and suffering of material existence are extinguished. The word Uru Vikramangri indicates that the Lord's lotus feet are quite heroic. Sri Krishna is famous for his incarnation as Vamana, the dwarf Brahmana, who extended his beautiful toes up to the outer limits of the universe and perforated the universal shell, thus bringing the water of the holy Ganges into the universe. Therefore, when Krishna was entering the city of Mathura to challenge the demoniac king Kamsa, and his entrance was impeded by a ferocious elephant named Uvalyapil, Lord Krishna kicked the elephant to death and peacefully entered the city gate. Lord Krishna's lotus feet are so exalted that the Vedic literatures state the entire material manifestation rests beneath his lotus feet. Text 55. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to the conditioned souls that if they call upon him by speaking his holy name, even unintentionally or unwillingly, the Lord is inclined to destroy innumerable sinful reactions in the hearts. Therefore, when a devotee who has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet chants the holy name of Krishna with genuine love, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can never give up the heart of such a devotee. One who has thus captured the Supreme Lord within his heart is to be known as Bhagavat Pradhan, the most exalted devotee of the Lord. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, the essence of pure devotee's qualification is given in this verse. A pure devotee is one who has attracted the Lord by his love, so that the Lord cannot give up the devotee's heart. According to Srila Jeev Goswami, the word Sakshat in this verse indicates that a pure devotee has realized knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, having given his heart to the Supreme Lord Krishna, who is all attractive in six opulences, including beauty. A pure devotee can never be attracted by the fleshy bags of women's breasts and by the hallucination of so-called society friendship and love within the material world. Therefore, his clean heart becomes a suitable abode for the Supreme Lord. A gentleman will live only in a clean place. He will not live in a polluted, contaminated place. Educated people in the Western countries are now greatly protesting the pollution of water and air by urban industrial enterprises. People are demanding the right to live in a clean place. Similarly, Lord Krishna is the supreme gentleman, and therefore he will not live in a polluted heart, nor will he appear within the polluted mind of the conditioned soul. When a devotee surrenders to Lord Krishna and becomes a lover of the Lord by direct realization of Krishna's all attractive nature, the Lord makes his residence in the clean heart and mind of such a pure devotee. According to Srila Jeev Goswami, if a devotee is absorbed in the loving transcendental service of Krishna, directly or indirectly, he is always glorifying the Lord by transcendental loving service. Therefore, even if he chants the holy name of Krishna with improper attention due to being absorbed in the Lord's service, the mercy of the Lord purifies his heart of all sinful reaction. Thus, and the purpose of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 11th canto, 2nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Maharaj Nimi Meets the Nine Yogendras.
Read the next chapter.
Chapter 3. Liberation from the illusory energy. Text 1. Translation. King Nimi said, now we wish to learn about the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vishnu, which bewilders even great mystics. My lords, please speak to us about this subject. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, in this chapter, various saintly sons of the Rishabdev will speak about the illusory energy Maya, the means for crossing beyond it the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and prescribed duties of human beings. The 48th verse of the previous chapter stated, Vishnor Mayam Idam Pashyan. A devotee of Krishna should see the entire universe to be the illusory potency of Lord. Therefore, King Nimi is now pursuing this subject matter by requesting more detailed information from the saintly Yogendras. Text 2. Translation. Although I am drinking the nectar of your statements about the glories of Supreme Personality of Godhead, my thirst is not yet satiated. Such nectarian description of the Lord and His devotees are the actual medicine for conditioned soul like me, who are tormented by the threefold miseries of material existence. Purport. According to Srila Sridhar Swami, one may argue that since the symptoms of a pure devotee of the Lord have already been elaborately described, one can perfect his life by advancing to the platform mentioned in the previous verse, and there is no need for further question. But Hari Kathamritam, topics about the Lord and His devotees, are so pleasing and beautiful that one cannot give up hearing them, even after spiritual liberation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this connection has quoted the following verse: Atma Ramasya Munayo Nigragantha Api Urukame Purvanti Haitu Kim Bhaktim Ittam Bhuta Guno Harihi. Those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has transcendentally attractive feature. Material medicine is not desirable once a disease has been cured, but on the absolute platform, the means and the end are not different. So chanting and the hearing the glories of Lord are both the means and the end of transcendental bliss. Text 3. Translation. Sri Antariksha said, O mighty armed king, by activating the material elements, the visible soul of all creation has sent forth all living beings in higher and lower species, so that this conditioned soul can cultivate either sense gratification or ultimate liberation according to their desire. Purport. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the illusory energy is explained in this verse through a description of her potencies, namely the modes of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has described Maya as Gunamayi, consisting of material modes of nature. The material modes of nature are alluded to in this verse by the word Uchchavachani, high and low species of life. Various species of life become manifest, as do varieties of beauty, ugliness, strength, weakness, and other characteristics within a particular species. According to the proportionate development of the modes of nature, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Karmanam guna sango syad sadasad yoni janmasu. This is due to the living beings' association with material nature in good and evil species. Similarly, we will find this statement: Udbham gachanti satvastha madhye tishtanti rajasa jaganya guna vrittistha adho gachanti tamasah. Those situated in the mood of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planets. Those in the mood of passion live on the earthly planets, and those in the mood of ignorance go down to the heavenly worlds. The three general divisions of material life are called Deva, period, and the Nara, that is demigods, Shubham, Sushubman creatures, and human beings. In the various species of life, there are various facilities for material sense gratification. Different species are distinguished by differently formed senses such as genital, nostrils, tongue, ears, and eyes. Pigeons, for example, are given the facility for almost unlimited sex. Bears have an ample opportunity for sleeping. Tiger and lions exhibit the propensities for fighting and meat eating. Horses are distinguished by their legs for swift running. Vultures and eagles have keen eyesight, and so on. The human being is distinguished by his large brain, which is meant for understanding God. Text 4. Translation. The supreme, the super soul enters the material bodies of the created beings, activates the mind and senses, and thus causes the conditioned soul to approach the three modes of material nature for sense gratification. Purport. The following is a summary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's commentary on this verse. The one super soul enters the gross material elements earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and uses the activated material mind to subtly divided the sensory activities of the conditioned souls among the five knowledge acquiring senses: the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And by further gross division, the five working senses: the hands, legs, speech, genitals, and anus. Because liberated souls have a strong tendency to serve the Lord, they are not attracted by the dualities of material good and evil. They derive their pleasure through devotion and love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who eternally enjoys his own transcendental pastimes beyond the material manifestation.
Let's stop it. You are happy devotion service? Happy in bhakti?
Yes, Maharaj.
ड्राइवर बोले क्या पढ़ाई किया?
क्या पढ़ाई की?
और मास्टर्स किया फार्मेसी में.
थैंक यू.
महाराज आपसे मिलना था, मतलब कुछ क्वेश्चंस थे मेरे.
We'll meet later.
बाद Mahatma.
इस प्रसंग को प्रस्तुत करने का इस प्रसंग की भागवत में ही चर्चा की गई है। उस व्यक्ति के द्वारा जिसके लिए कहा जाता है शिष्य बृहस्पति साक्षात, जो साक्षात बृहस्पति के शिष्य। तृतीय स्कंद में कहा गया बृहस्पति प्राक्तनयं प्रतीतम, इनको बृहस्पति जी विश्वास पात्र पुत्र जैसा मानते हैं, जिनके लिए भगवान मानते हैं उत्तम उत्तर परमात्म उत्तम नहीं है। ऐसे उद्धव भागवत जी के 10वें स्कंद के 47वें अध्याय के 63वें श्लोक में इस गीत की प्रशंसा करते हैं। वंदे नंद व्रज श्रीनाम नंदवनी में निवास करने वाली उन ब्रजबालाओं के श्रीमद् चरण कमलों की धूलि के कणकों में अभिक्षसः वंदे निरंतर वंदन करता हूँ। एक ही कण की वंदना करते करते मेरे अनंत कल्प बीत जाएंगे। क्यों? तो वंदन करते हैं। उद्धव ने कहा यासाम हरिकथोर गीतम, जिन गोपियों के मुखारविंद से निर्गलित हरिकथोर गीत, भगवान की कथा से संबद्ध गीत, उत्कृष्ट गीत इन 1900 का तात्पर्य इसी गोपी गीत में गुंफित है। जैसे वेद व्यास जी के 19 ग्रंथों का तात्पर्य क्या है? सबका फल है भगवान की प्राप्ति, सबका फल है। सारे पुराण ये यही बात करते किसी प्रकार भगवान को मिल जाए, किसी प्रकार भगवान हमें मिल जाए, ये कवि कहते हैं। भले भिन्न भिन्न पुराणों में भिन्न भिन्न रूप से भगवान को कहा गया हो, पर कहा गया है भगवान को कभी शिव के नाम से, कभी शक्ति के नाम से, कभी सूर्य के नाम से, कभी गणपति के नाम से, कभी विष्णु के नाम से। कहा तो जा रहा है भगवान को, और किसी को नहीं कहा जा रहा है। इसी तथ्य को श्रोताओं की सुगमता से मैं एक गीत में प्रस्तुत करूं। श्रोता ये कई भगवान के रूप में गाए जाते हैं। दसवां स्कंद में भी पूर्वार्ध में राम पंचाध्याय में भी
नमस्ते नमस्ते
बैठते बैठते गंगा माता चिंता के करते हैं। I'm उसका कोई भेद नहीं था। 18 और 1 ये 19 मिलकर के भगवान को गा रहे हैं। एक भाव इसे रास पंचाध्यायी को अब तक 2 रूपों में देखा गया। सामान्य लोगों ने कहा प्रवृत्ति बड़ा रास पंचाध्यायी है, प्रवृत्ति की व्याख्या करती है। कुछ लोगों ने कहा कि नहीं, श्रीधराचार्य ने कहा पुस्तक तो निवृत्ति परेयम रास पंचाध्यायी, निवृत्ति पर, परंतु इसे अत्यंत दीन दास का निवेदन है। मैं जगत गुरु रामानंदाचार्य स्वामी रामचंद्राचार्य विनम्रता से कह रहा हूं कि होगी किन्हीं के रूप में दृष्टि से प्रवृत्ति परक, जैसे सुबुधनी का होगी यह रास पंचाध्यायी श्रीधराचार्य के मत में निवृत्ति परा, परंतु मेरे मत में तो ये प्रपत्ति परक है। प्रवृत्ति परा भी नहीं है, निवृत्ति परा भी नहीं है, प्रपत्ति परा है। प्रपत्ति माने शरणागति। इस संसार को छोड़कर हम भगवान की शरण में कैसे जाएं, भगवान की शरणागति कैसे स्वीकारें, इसी रहस्य को रास पंचाध्यायी में बताया गया है, ऐसा मेरा मानना है। और मेरा मानना बिल्कुल ठीक है। गोपियों की यदि परिस्थिति देखी जाए तो गोपियों का जो क्रम है उपासना का, ये दोनों से विलक्षण है। ये तो प्रवृत्ति में भी नहीं आती, निवृत्ति में भी नहीं आती। प्रवृत्ति में कर्मकांड प्रधान होता है और निवृत्ति में ज्ञान कांड प्रधान होता है। गोपियों का, श्री वृंदावनाओं का कर्मकांड से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, ज्ञान से भी कोई लेना देना नहीं है। इनका तो केवल लक्ष्य है परम प्रेम, जिससे भगवान को दिखाया जा सके। ये तो कहती सब छोड़ने को हम तैयार हैं, केवल कन्हैया को नहीं छोड़े। घर तजो बन तजो नागर यो नगर तजो, बंसी बट तट तजो काहू नहीं लागी हूँ। देह तजो गेह तजो नेह कहो कैसे तजो, आज राज प्रेम राज बीच ऐसो साज साज। बावरी कहते हैं बावरे भय है लोग, बावरी कहते हैं लोगों को, और बावरी कहते मैं हूँ काहू न पराधी। क्या करूँ, छोड़ दूंगी कहैया सुनैया तजो, बाप और भैया तजो, मैया तजो दैया पे कन्हैया नहीं था। सब कुछ छोड़ दूंगी, फिर कन्हैया को नहीं छोड़ूंगी। ये शरणागति का ही लक्षण है। सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज, अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा